Good morning, team. Uwe Jacobs, your road warrior on my 10th day of the trip. Well, life is fun in the fast lane, and I'll be honest, I've just about had enough. After 10 days on the road with a very action-packed schedule, it's a lot of fun. As I said, I think yesterday, sometimes I wonder whether it's legal to have that much fun, but somebody's got to do it. Having great fun. The cyclone warning from the Cyclone Iris, I think it is called, that was supposed to come down the coast, created havoc in my bookings, in my schedule yesterday. Things went pretty topsy-turvy. What the builders have to do when there is a cyclone warning, obviously everybody's cleaning up their sites, makes sure that everything is tied down and so on and so forth, that nothing can fly around. So when you've got roof iron lying around on the side ready to go on the roof, you need to tie it down, bring it inside the house or whatever. So there's always a lot of preparation to do for everybody, really. People also need to get their houses ready, and that's just the way it goes. So my well-planned calendar and appointments went up the creek yesterday. Everything happens for a reason, though. So I slotted in other things, did a few video recordings of the deals that we've got coming forth. And I tell you what, I'm in love. Again, yes, I know, again. I love Townsville. It's such a great place. The fundamentals of Townsville are magnificent. When you look at it, I would argue the case that about 1/3 of Townsville's income, gross domestic product, is from the government. There's a huge army content. There is a huge content of university, so education, and there's a huge content of medical. The big hospital is a training hospital. So all of that income and, I guess, gross domestic product is completely independent of whatever industry or commerce does. So that's a good thing. On top of that, we have most of the large companies that are dealing in FNQ, far North Queensland, have their headquarters for FNQ, for far North Queensland, in Townsville. Townsville is a lot more industrious than Cairns, which is largely dependent on tourism. We have the big port, which contributes, in my view, another 1/3 to the economy. And then there is, of course, the general industry, and also a substantial amount of headquarters for the mining companies are here. Adani, the big mine in the hinterland, about 500 kilometers from here, has got their head office here. And this is supposed to be the biggest open cut mine in Australia. So the fundamentals of Townsville are magnificent. We're experiencing a rental vacancy of under 1%. And I would argue the case that, as it so often happens, and I mean no offense, as it so often happens, the locals can't see the forest for the trees. I would argue the case that there will be good capital growth here in Townsville. It will depend on how much of the buying has been brought forward, how much of the purchasing has been brought forward through the homeowners grant. And will that create a hole for two reasons? Will that create a hole because the normal, equalization in the market that is through the normal generic buying that is happening in the market, has that been depleted towards the future and brought forward by too many people? I don't think so. Secondly, the builders are, as they call it, flat chat. So there is a generic bottleneck that cannot be overcome in the short term anyway. So there's only so many houses that can be built. Now, the builders are chock-a-block, to use another nice Australian term. Hang on, I think I'm getting messages here. I just want to check whether that's questions. No. So there is a normal generic put-through quantity of houses that can be built in Townsville through the local builders. And that will and has already created a bottleneck and will slow down the theoretical throughput. And the demand can't cope with the supply. So I see an equation happening between what is the larger demand with the supply capacity of the market and of industry and of the builders. So as far as I'm concerned, the demand from the locals that has been brought forward will decrease, no doubt. But I can already see other companies, other investors coming into Townsville, and I'm happy to say we are ahead of the market, we're ahead of the curve. We've bought right, we've locked the deals in before the big price rises. I mean, with the two lots at the golf course, we effectively are getting the land from prices from 3 years ago. It doesn't get any better than that. If you come into the market now, you're experiencing huge price hikes, both in the land as well as in the building, because the builders quite frankly say, I've got my books full, so if you want me to do this house, there's going to be a premium to be paid. And I also think that the demand that is generically coming when areas go into a boom, and I would see Townsville as a rising market. On the property clock, I would describe it as 8 to 9 o'clock. The price increases, the median price hasn't reflected the strong demand yet. And that's a normal occurrence. The statistics always run behind the actual. But when I look at the last Harron Todd White Townsville in Focus report, when you study that report, and it's freely available, just look for Harron Todd White, Townsville in Focus, and go through it with a fine-tooth comb. You'll see undoubtedly that this town will go off. It will experience good capital gains. Another reason for that is that the rental vacancy is so low that tenants are offering $10 and $20 more a week for the ability to get a rental. You regularly have 3, 4, 5 people applying for the same house. So yeah, that makes for great fundamentals for investors. And I'm certainly getting stuck into it today. First up at 8, I'm meeting a builder. He had to cancel yesterday, as it was explained before. Then at 10:30, I'm meeting a developer again. And that's the reason is not only the strategic alliances that we have, the long-standing connections that we have, but it's also always good to talk to many people to get many different points of view. And then I'll take all of these points of view, put them in the big bucket, shake it all about, and form my own opinion, for better, for worse. It's been going well the last 18 years, so I see no reason to change what we're doing. It's a risk-averse strategy. I agree with that. And to me, return of my money comes before return on my money. So there are faster ways of making money, but they're also more risky. So As you can see with the grey hair, I'm getting a bit older and I'm getting a bit more risk averse. But it also means that if capital gains is delayed, you can just sit on it and have the property tick over because it pays for itself. Okay, enough of that. I'm already over 10 minutes again. Apologies, I talk too much, I know. I trust that you enjoy these musings of a road warrior. I will do one more tomorrow from the office to provide a wrap up of how the whole trip went and give you the duck's guts, the summary of where we are going from here. And of course, I invite you to book a session free, no obligation, no cost. You can hop on the website and we can have a chat, which is what I like doing because I like to get to know the people first. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the beaches.